Welcome to another episode of Games After Dark, where we talk about roguelike games this episode. Hope you like it. Roll that introduction. Okay, it's full.
Alright, so, Rogue was a very old computer game back in the days of the text adventure games. And you go through a randomly generated dungeon, killing things with the goal of getting as far as you can before dying horribly. And
I played one.
you played a couple of them.
Yes. It was an experience.
So, the closest to the original Rogue is Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup. Just super fun. And that's one you did not play. It does have a super sweet ASCII mode to make it just like the original Rogue.
Yeah.
But you get a class, a race, and a randomly generated dungeon.
Yeah.
And they keep going.
Mm-hmm.
And the first one was Magicite, which is Minecraft crafting plus Rogue.
Oh.
So you get 5 minutes to get to the end of the level, otherwise horrible things spawn and you die immediately. I've gotten at least 8 levels through that one. And there's Crypt of the Necrodancer,
Yeah.
which is a rhythm-based roguelike game.
Do you like DDR? Audience? Because DDR plus adventure game.
Right, so it's a roguelike dungeon game plus DDR. And it has an easy mode where if you have a PlayStation 3 dance pad or any USB dance pad, you can hook it up to your computer and play Crypt of the Necrodancer on the dance pad. And it claims it's easier to play that way. But I don't believe that it is.
That means it's party time!
That means my phone's not muted and I got a new manual. So,
Continue.
anyway. Yeah, so they're fun. They're on everything.
Mm-hmm.
Just everything that can run a game. There's a TI-84 Plus Rogue game,
Right?
which is the calculators in high school.
Oh, yeah. So that means you could put it like on one of those T86 calculators that you do for math class?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh.
I used to program those in
Yeah.
math class instead of actually do math.
What?
I feel it was better. That was a better use of my time.
Yes. Because if it's one thing you need to know, math teachers will make you think that even the speed limit signs, you have to solve for X to find out how fast you can go.
Right. Well,
That's
I
not
was
how
using
the
my
world works.
calculator during math and writing things furiously in my notes, so it mostly looked like... And they're all assembly language. It's a super easy peasy
Yeah.
way of learning. I guarantee I was not coding with any good standard, but it was fun, and I made a space shooter. It was great.
It did its job.
Right.
What's your favorite rogue game?
Oh, I really like Crypt of the Necrodancer, though when I'm playing the actual not barred version, which makes it the enemies move after you move, which is classic Rogue, I am not super good with it. I have tried, I've not succeeded, but I like it. I've also played Dungeons and Dreadmore, and that one's super fun because there's class and then abilities, and it's fun, and one of the classes that you can get abilities for is Tourist, and you can take pictures of enemies.
Oh, yeah.
It's not useful. Not even a little bit. It can stun them, but that's as far as it goes.
So it's like a flash grenade.
Right. Except all the abilities you get are like flash grenades. I can see slightly further than I normally would. It's rubbish.
Yeah. Now, does it like you only get to see further for just a moment?
No, it extends your field of vision in that direction. So, I'm not sure if you noticed as you're going, it revealed more of the map in
Yeah.
Necrodancer. That's typical of how it goes, is you explore, and, oh god, there was one rogue game, and I don't remember the name off the top of my head, but if I figure it out, I'll let you know. There's one where one of the resources you can access is as you move and reveal tiles and the map, it restores hit points.
Oh. Yeah.
So everything's still randomly generated, but all of the tiles you reveal heal you back up. So you have slightly more durability, and exploration is more than just exploring the dungeon to find new stuff. It's also how you survive is to keep pushing forward. So it has that whole extra added depth of I must continue or die.
Yeah.
But that one also has the great thing where the enemies randomly scattered out have random levels assigned to them, but they're also stationary. So if you can't go that direction, go a different direction.
Yeah, that's like in Skyrim, right? You have to go one place, but there's like a big orc in your way, so you go all the way around and you get confronted with the dragon.
Right, but most of the Elder Scrolls series have. I know Oblivion definitely had the parallel level system, whereas you gain levels, enemies adjust their level to that.
Does that happen in rogue games?
No. You can still come across things that you can easily destroy, but then there are times where they throw something that is impossible for you to kill. And I know Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup, one of the lovely things it does is as you die, your previous characters turn into dungeon monsters and will show up in roughly the same level range as when you died.
So that first one I played, the Minecraft
Magicite.
Yeah, that one. Like, the first time I load up this game, there's a bee right there.
There was literally a bee almost on top of you and murdered you before you even started playing the game.
Yes.
There was one time I was playing Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup, and the dungeon it randomly generated only had an exit. I could not actually progress further into the dungeon. So, my only choice was to leave. I'm like, you know what? Fine, you win. I'm gone. But that's part of the whole, like, more robust ones have map checking as part of their dungeon creation. But the older ones just have, we're going to randomly throw a dungeon together. Oops, we made one you can't actually go in.
That's weird.
But that one, God, I think it's like a billion floors down. You get the Orb of Zod, I think it is. But then you have to go back.
No.
So you go through all these 30 levels, and then you grab the orb, and then you have to go back through all of them. Oh god, I'm not good at that one. I think the best I did was I played a cat necromancer.
Right.
Like a house cat. That also did necromancy.
Oh, okay. Wait, so like, these dungeons that you go in, like once you go in them, are they there for good? Like, can you go back out and come back in, the randomly generated? Or does the same dungeon get changed every time you enter it?
Right, no, it's... As soon as it's made, it's good for that one play through, and try to play again, you'll never get it again.
Oh, okay. No snowflake the same?
Right. And with that one is, well, most of them are, you have to go to the next area, that's your goal, is find the exit, go to the next floor down. And with the Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup is sometimes you can just use an escape hatch that drops you immediately to the floor below you. Or you can go down and up staircases. You can go back to previous floors.
Right.
There's usually no reason to do it.
Oh, okay.
It's just a constant rushing to get to the end and dying horribly because... Oh, I don't know. Your previous character named Al Borland decided to go and spawn a whole bunch of skeletons and run you down.
So a lot of people like try to get a reward at the end. Otherwise they don't bother with games these days. What types of rewards do you get for doing this? I mean...
It's less of an instantaneous reward and more of a, let's see if I can do slightly better, and let's see if I can get a different combination to work. And there's a lot of trial and error, and it rewards that in this combination I did significantly better with. Let me try to do that again. And because the game is made so sometimes it's unfair, and you know in advance that there is going to be a point that you die, you behave more recklessly. Like, since you know you're going to die, it's very refreshing, and you just you just go to see how far you can go, and be like, I made it very far this time as a vampire monk or whatever.
So low achievements like Xbox introduced.
Right. It's definitely not. There's no achievements in that.
But Microsoft, you still have a chance.
I doubt it.
Yeah.
Because there's so many variations of the roguelike game out there.
Yeah.
Like, I know if you can get it through Steam, it'll have Steam achievements just because that's how Steam works. Like Crypt of the Necrodancer does.
Right.
Magicite does. Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup won't. That fourth game, whose name I don't remember, I'm pretty sure is on my Steam list. That one does, just because that's how Steam do.
So what's the oldest rogue game that you played?
I played Rogue.
I mean, right. But
I played all of them. I played a decent amount of them.
what's the one that was made the earliest?
The earliest Rogue game
Yes.
made
Yes.
is Rogue.
Oh.
A roguelike game is trying to be like the dungeon crawling game Rogue.
Right. I knew that.
That's why they're called roguelike games.
Well, I thought like Rogue was like
Nope.
saying shooter-like games.
Nope. They're roguelike games because they're emulating Rogue.
Okay. So what's the worst roguelike games you've seen? Like ones that were like, and not including ones that just wouldn't launch.
A lot of them have issues where they don't have anything new to bring to the table, and there's a lot of them that are just like, I like Dungeons of Dreadmore. It's okay. It's a roguelike game. It doesn't really bring a lot to the table. The levels are not very big. It runs kind of chunky, but it's okay, I guess. I haven't played it in ages because I don't find myself having a reason to play it. Or like Magicite's neat and it's 2D and there's the crafting thing and it's kind of different, so I like it. Or Crypt of the Necrodancer. I like rhythm games and I like crawling through dungeons.
So do you like the top-down or the side crawlers better?
I've only played one that was a side crawl or a side scrolling. Most of them are top down.
Do you think side scrolling gives more or less of a challenge?
Well, when you go to side scroll, the first thing you're like, oh, we're also going to have platforming. So it's a side scrolling roguelike platformer with crafting elements.
Have you ever had a game that tried to like put a platformer in a top down?
Yeah. The 8th Ultima game, I think.
How would that work? Like they have
Not well. Not well at all. Actually, no. Chrysalis is a top-down that has minor gap jumping, but the problem is you can't judge the distance well because they're isometric.
No. Maybe if they had like, they moved the camera for like those instances.
So one of the ways they get around it is when you jump in Chrysalis, there's a shadow where your character is. So you can see as you're jumping where the shadow is moving. So it still gives you the perspective of moving forward because of the shadow, while your character's elevation is being shown as going up and down.
No.
Which does make the few gap jumpings easier because you can use both of those as a perspective point. But there's a lot of really bad isometrics that are like, we're also going to make you jump.
Well, doesn't like in real life when you jump, your shadow also moves like
Yeah,
move apart.
But most video games don't render your shadow. Like, it was intentional that they put the shadow in there to help with the platforming part.
That's true.
Also to, it's a Nintendo game. How else are they
Yeah.
going to show that you're jumping without leaving a shadow in place?
I was going to think of a Nintendo stereotype, but I couldn't think of one.
We're talking classic NES.
Nostalgia.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, who doesn't have a Nintendo nowadays?
Xbox players.
Well, yeah, that's true.
They're all fancy about their COD.
Right. The other thing with the roguelike games is they're PC classics.
Yeah.
Like, they're classic PC games. It's like playing Eye of the Beholder or Might and Magic. Not the Heroes of Might and Magic series, but the actual mainstay Might and Magic games. Or the Ultimas or the Wizardries. All within the same vein of going through dungeons and exploring. And then, of course, those games led towards, more first-person shooting games that also explore dungeons, like Arena.
So how did you get into roguelike games? And I mean, you got through it through Rogue. How did you find out Rogue?
I was introduced them through a friend of mine that was also a former roommate, who was really into rogue games for a hot minute. Still is.
That's a long hot minute.
He's into roguelike games, and then I started getting into roguelike games because he was starting to play free ones, and free is a great price. You can play free.
Yeah.
No problem. And then people started making a lot of them, and now it's a genre you can search on Steam because there are so many of them.
Oh, nice.
And
that's
Steam,
how you know you've made it.
Right. And I got Crypto the Necrodancer because Steam did a daily, or one day just decided to do a sale on nothing but roguelike games.
No.
And there was like 30 of them.
Gotta love the Gaben.
What?
Gabe New, the Gaben.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Not the Gaben.
I didn't realize we had a cute, adorable nickname for him.
Apparently, there is. Like, as a PC Master Race, one of the tenets is to love the Gaben.
Sure.
Yeah. So Gabe New, you have a freakishly obsessive fan base. Don't piss off Gabe New. He will, go after you. There was a guy who stole,
Don't ask him about Fallout 3.
Yeah.
That's literally the worst thing you can do. He gets very, very visibly upset when asked about Fallout 3. In fact, that's why he stopped going to PAX.
Oh.
And E3 is because that's all that everybody ever asked him was, what about Fallout 3? Is Fallout 3 coming? It's like, no, I'm done. I'm not even going to be there to humor.
But we got Fallout 4 now, so will they be asking about Fallout 5 then?
No, not Fallout 3. What am I thinking? Half-Life 3, duh. No, he was tired of people asking him about Half-Life 3. Sorry, I was talking.
Well, all he's got to do is make it, then people will stop asking about it. The problem is that everyone expects that it should be, better than sex. And, no matter what they do.
Right, well, it suffers from, so the thing with Half-Life 1 and Half-Life 2 is Half-Life 2 brought something new.
Yeah.
With the second Portal game, they brought something new.
Yeah, but they still had that seesaw puzzle.
Yeah.
I mean, enough. We get it. You made a physics engine. Stop making us do this little seesaw puzzle.
Right, but the gravity gun was neat.
Yeah,
it was different. The portal gun itself was different. And then in Portal 2, they added the little splashy things, the paints, that also changed things.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Not paints, gels.
But
they keep, in order to make a sequel, he feels you have to have something new to bring to the table. Right? Call of Duty.
Mm-hmm. Just kill the people who are not white.
Yeah. Just we have another Call of Duty. We're bringing nothing.
What I don't understand about those games is it's so realistic that Russia would attack all of America simultaneously, as well.
The FIFA games and the NHL games by EA do have slightly different things that they add in every year, other than just changing the roster.
Yeah.
Granted, I'm sure they've stagnated at some point. I don't play either of those series, but there was a time where they're like, oh man, we're going to add a couple of different things. Madden started back at the Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
They've added things, graphics.
Well.
And a third dimension.
Yeah. Because there are 3 of them. not
Right.
11, like scientists tell you. I mean, it's not like Windows 10 ever brought anything new to the field.
Well, I mean, it kind of did. It brought more suck.
Yeah.
It brought worse security issues, and it brought privacy issues. So that's something new to the table.
To semi-quote Tron Legacy, we put a 12 on the box this year.
Right.
Yeah.
Just if you're going to have a sequel, or you're going to take an original game and release it, bring something new so that there are reasons for you to get the thing.
Like, was Halo Combat Evolved really Combat Evolved? I mean, it was originally going to be released as like a Mac exclusive, but they just sort of...
Right, because all of the Bungie's original games, like the Forerunner series, were all Mac exclusives.
Yeah.
They did re-release them on the DOS, but that was many years later. They're all abandonware, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, what's that legislation? Abandonware can now be legally shared and modified to work.
Yeah, that's because they're abandonware. Nobody's there to stop you. They're abandoned.
Yeah. Well, that's a big topic right there, because we have museums for like old things that no one cares about. But video games, you know, the older it is, the better it always is.
Not necessarily.
Oh, yeah.
It's just, if you're going to make a sequel, so like with novels and movies, if you're going to have a sequel, there has to be some part of the story that is left unexplored, or there's a question that needs to be answered still. A lot of people leave this as sequel bait at the end, or there's some middle part of it that was like, oh man, there's definitely room to continue the story, because here's some things that need to be done. With video games, they can all be self-contained. There's no need to be a sequel.
Yeah.
They could be an entirely different story, set in the same place, unrelated to the first one.
I don't think we did that.
We can come up with an example later, it's fine.
Oh, it's like when Halo decided to not have the player be the Master Chief anymore. Everyone
Okay,
was like,
Left 4 Dead.
Oh,
And Left 4 Dead 2.
Okay.
Completely...
Oh, Final Fantasy.
Right, or Final Fantasy. You can use the same assets and tell a different story unrelated to the story that came before it, and that's also fine, because you're bringing something new to the table. With video games, if you're going to have a long-running series that is directly connected to the one before it, or if you're going to make a new game in an existing genre, you have to have something new to stand out.
Yes.
Like, Half-Life was like, oh, look, we have physics.
Is that
We're
a
totally
full
not-
skeleton animation? I think it
Like,
is.
We have a physics engine in our FPS. Take that, the other popular game at the time, Duke Nukem.
That game was so egocentric.
Yeah, absolutely.
He doesn't have a health bar. He has an ego bar.
Right. But Duke Nukem brought something new that Doom didn't have, and that was sexism. Just a firm grasp on sexism. And
Because with the power of sexism, you can do anything, says Ford Kids.
yes.
There was a Yu-Gi-Oh episode where what's her name? Tina Taya was like, in the Japanese version, she was running down the hall and Yugi asked, "How do you know where you're going?" She says in the Japanese version, she says, "Women intuition." In the American 4Kids version, she says, "I don't know what I'm doing."
Yeah, absolutely.
See, kids, you think censorship is good for American kids.
No. Not to mention all of the nudity, the nippleless nudity that they covered up in the cards.
Yeah.
Which is ridiculous.
Boys be like, "How come that guy doesn't have nipples? I got nipples. Am I different?"
Just straight up wipe out all the nipples. It's
Yeah.
a tragedy.
They're fun to play with. Sorry, YouTube. Can't show you mine. There's a nipple policy. We get taken down.
Is there?
Yeah.
I think there is.
Oh, yeah.
Guys can be shirtless on YouTube.
I don't think... I mean, unless you like the Old Spice commercials.
No, I'm very certain men can be shirtless on
Are
YouTube.
you sure?
Absolutely.
I know Barney Clues on that channel, he did a shirtless version. people paid him money just to stay shirtless.
Yeah.
I think they were trolling him.
You can also just go to webcam, like one of those sexy webcam things, and pay people there.
Cam girls? Dude,
or cam guys, whatever you're swinging for.
People make like $300, $400 a night doing that.
Yeah.
So if you have a webcam and boobs,
or a dick, or exist.
maybe.
Everybody's somebody's fetish.
Not that there's anything wrong with that. Remember that Seinfeld episode? We're way off topic.
Certainly are.
Sorry.
So, sequels and games within a genre bring something new.
Yes.
If, like, it's okay to just re-release the old stuff if you're the original stuff.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, we're re-releasing Myst for the 70th time.
That's why,
Like, that's fine. You're Myst. You set the standard. You can make Myst again, and we'll give you a pass.
it's like when they keep trying to, like, re-release Spider-Man and the Avengers, just reboot, just to keep the patent.
Oh, comic books entirely, and comic book movies have an entirely different thing, and we're not getting into that right now.
That would be maybe another episode.
That is really a lot to handle.
Hit that like button if you want to see us do it.
Oh, God. Comic books are weird.
I don't remember any of this in the original manga.
Yeah, I am definitely no anime expert.
Who knows the difference between the words manga and anime?
They're on the internet.
Well,
I hope they can Google it.
You know, I only realized that a little while ago. The difference between a manga and an anime.
Anime is animated.
Yes.
Manga's the readable comic form.
Yes, but not everyone realizes that.
Anime stands for animation.
Not everyone realizes that. Just like some people don't know.
Well, they don't have to hit the like button now. We've explained it.
Hit that like button if you want us to go in deeper depth than we just did. No, I told them to hit the like button if they want to see us do a movie and comic book.
Oh God, no.
Like, talking about how comic books are and the shortcomings and successes.
No, that requires us to talk about One More Day, and I don't think I'm emotionally prepared for that anymore. There was a time.
Maybe. Alright guys, that about wraps it up for this episode. More videos, even more. Until I figure out what I'm going to put on this side, they're just going to be both more videos. Or click my nose. Anyway, hit that subscribe button. If you don't like it, do what you gotta do. But if you liked it, hit that like button. Thank you for watching. Get subscribed and stay tuned for more episodes. Have a great day.